Hello, dear mentors. Welcome to meeting 2, Numbers in Cultures. That's on October 16th. And this is the agenda. So after the MS kits arrive and we have the introduction, we'll start with the part 1 called Viajes. So that's for travels, which will last 30 minutes, the first part of this first part. But then after the break and a special announcement, we'll continue with part 1 here. But part 2, 15 more minutes. So summarizing part 1, it's actually 45 minutes. It's just broken in 2 parts. The second part is going to be shape puzzles, and you probably recognize these from meeting 1. Let's talk a little bit about the mathematical goals. There's 2 big things here. First, number systems, understanding them, especially base 2 and base 20. So practice how to express positive integers as sums of powers of 2. And also with the Mayan culture, Mayan numbers, we'll practice how to express numbers in base 20. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll get to know a lot of cultural multiplication algorithms from Egypt and other places. So using algebra properties to understand multiplication methods. We'll learn how to use different methods in a flexible way, both mentally. So mental math is also very encouraged in this meeting, and also writing in diagrams. We'll also use the distributive property to make sense about different multiplication methods. So that's kind of once you discover how it works, then it's why it works. And if it works all the time, or if you have to have some conditions. And then we justify with either concrete examples and hopefully more reasoning, general reasoning. You can also learn the enrichment goals here, but the first one is almost the essence or the soul of the meeting. We appreciate the different ways in which cultures did mathematics, so in very diverse ways, and also understand what were their needs to use mathematics in a cultural way. So there's going to be also a lot of talk about these ancient cultures. Why did they care for doing math? What needs they had? And I think that's important to appreciate math as not something that's just done and forever existing, but something that actually develops through time. Let's take a look at viajes. So this is the big part of the meeting. As we said, it's 45 minutes. And the places we'll visit are these 5 cultures. So in Mexico, the Mayans, Egyptian multiplication. We'll also have the Incas in Peru with the quipas, India with the Vedic multiplication, and finally China, and also other places. We'll talk about it during coaching and other videos, the grid multiplication. So this method is not just for China, but other places. And that's often the case in many methods, that they don't just belong to one culture, because they can mix and evolve. So in a nutshell, we first want to do a warm-up. That's important because it'll give voice and will center the start of your meeting in what students are able to do. So what are we asking them? Just how do they like to add, subtract, multiply, divide? How do they like to do math in different ways? It also helps students appreciate diversity in how math's done. So we're not imposing just one way, the efficient way, but it's more like inviting me to share what I like to do. And that's what we'll do when we get to the cultures. And also help you remember that in Mathsio, we don't tutor really. We can mini lecture, but not tutor the whole time. And we don't rush to covering content. It's more like students guide our narratives and we go deep, just kind of negotiating with how students are doing. Okay, so that's important. Then we'll go to visit these 5 places in any order they want. And so you don't have to visit all the places. So there's this hint here in the time management tips, that while there are 5 places, even doing 3 or even doing 2, it's fine. It's more quality against quantity. Why do we put so many? So that they choose and it's diverse. And also, mentors can maybe say, oh, I really want this to travel to this place. And you guys, honor that. So we want variety and we want choices and options. So that's why we give 5 different places, but you don't have to do them all. Let's quickly explore this one. So these are the quipas from Peru, from the Incas. and they represent numbers. So there's no additional multiplication in this activity. So this is the C+1, and it's also in base 10. For example, 231, this number is going to be a thread having two closed knots. So that's 200. And then below, three knots. Let me correct this here. That's 30, and just one knot here. Let me correct it again, sorry. That would be just one. And then, yeah, I'll have to also make these adjustments. For this kipa would be 503. So there's something very interesting here that since we don't have tens, then, right, we have a 0 in the tens place, then we put 0 knots there. And here we have a 3, actually. Let me just correct this. Students will have, these threads, and if there's time, they'll build these kipas. Otherwise, we'll just discuss with pictures how they do it. Another place is India with Vedic multiplication. It's a cool way to multiply numbers that are close to 10 or 100 or 1,000. For example, 9 times 7. I put the 9 and the 7. I take the complement or difference from 10, so 1 and 3, right? Because 9 plus 1 is 10, 7 plus 3 is 10. And then I do this weird thing, 9 minus 3, that's 6. And then 1 times 3, that's 3. And magically, it's a 63. So the activity is why? Why does this work? So you're challenging students to figure out the method first and apply it, and then why does it work? And does it work always? What if I change this number to another one, etc. In Egypt, we're doing multiplication, and what they did was pretty cool. They say 19 times 213. They started duplicating one of these numbers until they had enough duplications or duplicates, and then they built the 19 as sums of this column of powers. So here is in shade, right, the shade in yellow, 1 to 16, that's 19. So if you add these three numbers, you'll get the answer. And students should reason why that's the case. So then we go to the Mayas and how they represented numbers. These bars were 1, 5, and these dots were just 1. So for example, 10 was just 3 bars, and 14 was 3 bars and 4 dots. But then when you get to 20, you kind of did a reset. So this means a 0 because there's nothing between 0 and 19, and then they put just 1 dot above. That means just 1 unit of 20. So that's base 20. And then we'll explore all these base 10 representations. Again, here, no addition or multiplication, right? So no operation, but more like representations. And yeah, this can get interesting and kind of complicated. So it's very interesting for a point of view of students relating this to what they know, which is base 10. Then, yeah, so these were the Mayas. And then finally, the fifth one is in China. So I just put here a little bit more. These grids for multiplying. So when you do 28 times 73, you could put these organized in tens and units here, and just do the all multiplications, right? Everybody times everybody, and record it here. What's going to happen in a very beautiful way is that if you add these diagonals, and then think a little bit about there's some carry on and things to do, you get the answer. So the answer here will be 4 units. And then tens would be 6 times 6 times 2, right? So that's 14. So it's a 4, and then I carry a 1, and I continue like this. So that's part 1. Pretty big travel through the world, and that should be the vibe of the meeting, that you're actually traveling to the world. So anything you can bring that, that gives that good theme for these 5 cultures would be really, really good, right? So Mexico, Peru, Egypt, India, and China. If you have other countries that you want to honor and appreciate, it's extremely encouraged. So you can go past these 5. And so part 2, after part 1, it's our shape puzzles. So you have a lot of familiarity from meeting 1. And what we recommend is the following. If you don't really have time to do the shape puzzles because of X or Y reason, that's totally fine. So this could be like a blanket. But otherwise, this familiarity, I think it's good for students because they'll be like, oh, we're also doing this again, so we can go deeper. And we recommend 3 modalities, or 4 actually modalities that you can use and decide. Either just have puzzle for students to solve in pairs or even individually, independently, if you think that's what students need and want. You could have a single puzzles to do it as a team if your table allows and you think it's going to be successful. You could also divide the table in 2 teams and play like a find my shape game. Each turn, a team guesses the card that the other secretly has, and then you get feedback how many features were guessed. And so this is very picas and fijas, like in meeting one, just using cards with set. Or you could have also, as a like a higher level, have students actually create or design their own puzzles and just take them home and play with friends or families. So you can pick from these. We offer 2 puzzles, but you can create more also if you're mentors and really like designing this. So here we have these 3 cards that share three different things. And then you have to find the solution, say if it's unique or not. And this is similar, just a 2-1-3 with these cards. So that involves thinking. So that's pretty much the meeting for meeting 2. A lot about culture, travels, and appreciating just different algorithms of doing math. It's kind of, sometimes in school, they just tell them one way, right? Teaching to the test or so. Here it's more like just savor, appreciate, and enjoy all these different methods that have been developed independently throughout civilizations. Just to appreciate math and how far we've gone, right? How far we've gone mathematically in different ways and cultures. Okay, so I think that's it. And hopefully you enjoy the meeting. Have fun.